Well, that's better, because that was too much of a strong black there, and just putting that little bit of scraping, a bit of blue on it,
Yeah.
gets rid of the very precise thing that I want to get away with. I mean, I quite like this because it's capsized, you know, it's not like,
Yeah.
I've done it all equally, which is what I'm trying to get away from. Here it's capsized, it's like, I so much energy to express all this, so much kind of enthusiasm for the colour, and I kind of don't notice it's capsized quite, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it breaks the form down to more of an abstract sense of an eye. I mean, a sense of an eye doesn't need to be perfect linear wise.
I mean, I've definitely used, you know, the techniques of abstract expressionism to do this. But I think abstract expressionism is lacking something, the figurative element. And I didn't realise it, but I'd done a painting. It was actually landscape, but I'll just demonstrate on here. So underneath here was medium grey. Above here was black. And I just put a little figure standing there in the middle of it all.
Oh, I know the painting.
Yeah, it's actually a Gina Bold, as it happens.
Stella Vine, isn't it?
No, it's Gina Bold.
Oh, okay.
No, there's another one you're thinking of.
I need more space.
That was on the beach, yellows.
Right, okay.
So this was grey in the foreground, black sky, figure standing there, tiny figure in the middle of all this. Can't remember what it was called, but the interesting thing was, I didn't realise, but months and months later, I saw a Rothko painting, which was exactly the same, with grey here, black here, and no figure.
Yeah.
So I've taken it one step further. Well, depends what you like, I suppose. Of course, the thing you've got to be careful of then is overdoing it.
Do you think it's finished?
Well, I'm looking at the mouth actually.
Okay.
Which kind of seems to be the most pronounced part of the painting, most defined part. And I kind of don't think I should really do anything with the mouth. I could possibly do something with a bit of the nose, but not with the mouth. So I need a brighter colour. Turquoise would be alright, I suppose.
Well, this is... there's not a lot in that, but there's sort of turquoise with a bit of maybe a bit of that yellow ochre. Maybe that would make it turquoise. I don't know.
No, I won't use that. What about that yellowy thing down there?
Yeah.
So where the hell did you get these paints from? What are they used for normally?
Oh, again, I think it's either eBay or Amazon. See if you pull the dry stuff out, it won't shoot everywhere when you. There you go.
You need to stick a scalpel in or something. So how much are these then?
I can't remember, but amazingly cheap.
What, like £5 or something?
Nick Pro. I can find out after filming. I'll send you the link because they are.
Well, don't bother, because I mean I don't want to be tempted to buy them.
Are you worried you might get into painting and your poetry would suffer?
No, I'm just worried I'll collect a load of paints and have to get rid of them.
Well, that works out quite well for me when you do that.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't give. I've done that twice in my life. I'm not sure if I should do anything else to it. What do you think?
I like it. Yes, good painting.
I don't think I should do anything else to it. It's got a lot of fervent energy, you know, down the bottom, and it rises up, and the face is almost like semi-submerged in the environment that it's in.
It looks like it's rising out of a swamp.
Yeah.
with that green at the bottom.
Well, that's an interpretation, not one that I thought of. It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
I mean, I think if you walked in a room and looked at that,
Yeah.
you would be quite a little bit taken aback and have to sort of process what you're looking at.
That's one thing I noticed at group shows, how many paintings blend into each other, and then you've got one painting in a group show that everyone remembers.
Yeah.
And that's the painting.
Now, I've loaded this on here, but I can't see anywhere I could really put this or would want to put it.
Do you want to save it for the... I mean, are you tired? Do you want to...
Well, we'll leave this. I think we've got to leave this.
Yeah. All right, well, let's...
And then I like the kind of... The eyes, you know, the eyes, well, when you do eyes, obviously they're kind of the same in a face. And I like the fact that they're obviously eyes, but they're not the same.
Okay, well, there's no point...
There's an expression on the face, the eyes and the mouth. I mean, I'm particularly keen on mouths, right? I mean, that's my thing, really, more than eyes. To me, the mouth communicates an emotion. And I think there, let me stand, I've got to stand back from these things.
Yeah.
Because I paint them close up and stand back to look at them. But what do you get from looking at that as a face? What do you think the state of mind of the person is?
I think he's holding back tears.
Right.
Again, because of the mouth and his left eye in particular. But his quivering lip, to me, is the...
I think that's a perfectly viable interpretation. What I get from it is a sort of resolution. Someone that sees something, sees things, and holds themselves in check. You know, there could be the suggestion, the possibility that they might weep. They're not weeping, but there is a suggestion, the possibility. They're certainly, to me, the eyes are looking deeper into something, not just on the surface. And the mouth is then containing whatever it is they're looking at. I don't think this is being too pretentious. This is just what I feel. This is what, you know, I'm just looking at it and just being honest.
Yeah. No, it's not pretentious to say what it looks like. I mean, that's what it looks like.
It's almost like there's a lot of activity going on, which is exactly what I wanted. I tell you what it is Munch did the Scream, and the person in the Scream obviously got their open mouth, similar kind of thing, with the whole environment around them agitated. All they can do is scream. Well, I did a series of paintings, the same sort of composition, the man in a top hat, which I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
The difference was that he was no longer screaming. He'd adapted to the environment, and he wasn't screaming. And it's like there's a top hat was like a rectangle, which is like a very rational thing, a rectangle, which was like his head, if you like. So you've got the contrast between the environment, the background, Munch's environment and background, which you could say is here, and what how the figure's reacting to it. And time's moved on. When he did it, all you could do was scream. Now you can't anymore, because you can't scream for a century on end.
Yeah.
You've got to adapt. You've got to use your rectangular rationality. That doesn't mean you've solved the problem. It doesn't mean you're any happier. It means that you're having to work through it and use different parts of the psyche to offset the chaotic parts. So that, I think, goes directly to here.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it seems chaos, and a lot of life is chaos. I mean, I happened to be walking down the commercial road in East London yesterday, near Limehouse, and I thought, this is ghastly. It's ghastly. There's like one vehicle after another vehicle after another crawling along, just endless, this endless conveyor belt of vehicles. So this is ghastly civilization. And I felt the same today on a bus from Highgate. It didn't help much that it said bus stop closed for roadworks, and the roadworks were 200 yards up the road. It could easily have stopped.
Yeah.
But it didn't. That's why I sat on it and ended up here, actually.
Mm.
But I was in the, and I was, when I think things, you know, my epic poem, well, quite often I'm thinking the poem in my head, and the words came to me, I'm trapped, and I'm stuck in the bus, I'm stuck in the bus, and that could have been a line in the poem, and I'd have developed that. Stuck in the bus, you know, stuck in the traffic, stuck in the heat. It's almost like when you eat too much, you enjoy your food, and you eat, and then you feel sick. And it's almost like that's what civilization's done. It enjoyed travelling cars, but it's ended up vomiting them. It's ended up nauseous. It can't control them. It's like out of control.
Yeah. Would you, if that was a poem, have brought that stuck in a bus, stuck it back to stuck?
No
made
way.
that association?
No, absolutely not. I don't think so.
No.
No. You know, I'm not. I do mention stuckism, but no, because quite often in the poem, there's allusions, there's references, but they're very subtle ones. So to say I'm stuck in a bus, I would not directly link it to stuckism, because I don't think I'd have to, because I mentioned stuckism before. Maybe I'd have mentioned something like a show, you know, stuck in the emotional landscape, or stuck in Brighton or something.
Yeah.
So stuck in a bus, I wouldn't even have to mention it, and to point it out would be unnecessary. A lot of people make a mistake in poetry of telling people, their reader, what they should think.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm stuck in a bus. This is like stuckism. You don't need the next bit. You just say I'm stuck in a bus.
Yeah. If the thought, if you know the thought's there, why spell it out to them?
Yeah. That's what people do. Often they say things in more than one way, the same thing, you know.
It's like they're going for credit. You know what I mean?
Well, no, they're not insecure. They don't trust the words to do the job. Like I say, I'm really hot today. There's a heat wave. It's baking. I'm sweltering.
Yeah.
There's sweat running down my forehead, or I'm sweating. Now they wouldn't say that. They'd say I'm sweating. What you need to say is there's sweat running down my chin and dripping onto my t-shirt, because that's an image. Say I'm sweating is abstract.
Yeah.
You want to tell them exactly what happens and make it real. So again, that example of heat, it's saying the same thing 4 different times. Well, that's a waste of space. Sometimes I do that deliberately, you know, tongue in cheek. You know, it's a really big problem I've got. It's gigantic. It's quite overwhelming. You know, it's huge, and it's towering over my whole day. You know, you carry on so much that it becomes absurd. But that's the deliberate use of misuse.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing that, then you've got to be economical. You've got to know that the reader will assume an awful lot of things. I used to get kids to sometimes write 3-word poems, a word on each line. Like, for example, if I say knife, night, scream.
Yeah, that's enough to put the whole thing in your head. Yeah.
As if you say sun, water, well, beach. That's a bit, you know, sun, water, beach. You know, you've got completely different. You've conjured up. The mind evokes all these images, association. There's a whole. Our mind is full of associations. You say a word, and there's like 100 other words that are connected with it. Maybe some are very close to it, and others are more remote from it. But then if you've got that word and you've got some remote words, you've got another word with some remote words, and maybe these remote words overlap. Then you start to get interesting connections.
Yeah.
And I've explained it in a bit of an abstract way because I haven't got anything in front of me to point to, but that's the sort of theoretical underpinning. So I tell you where I got the idea of writing an epic poem was I bought all of Charles Bukowski. Do you want me to talk about this?
Yeah, yes, it's great. Yeah.
I bought all of Charles Bukowski's books of poetry. I mean, half of them have been mangled by his editor, but you still get Bukowski coming through, although you can't trust them, but that's a different issue. And I read them from beginning to end, cover to cover, because I just wanted, I read one poem, I want to read another one. I'm enjoying it, I want to read another one. It's like you listen to a music, you've got an album. Okay, you might end up playing one song obsessively, but generally speaking, you're going to listen to the album. After one, you want the next one and the next one. And that was what it's like with the poems, although generally speaking, poems are seen in isolation as a single contained unit. But I was reading one after the other, so they added up to like this, essentially, although they were never intended to be, they were intended to be individual poems, but they ended up as being one epic poem through 30 books. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm really, if I want to read somebody, I want to carry on reading. I want to see how he's going to develop it. I want to see the variations that he's doing on the same theme.
Yeah. And I think that would be closer to his experience of the poems, even if they're, like, when I think of songs, I don't think of them as standalones. They're all joined up to the other songs I was writing at the time. So you might be getting closer to Bukowski looking at them in that way.
Well, I mean, he could do, 5 or 6 in an evening, and I can see how he could do that. And he would throw some away, throw quite a lot away apparently. But they are like a continuum. But when he didn't see them as that. He didn't publish them as that. He published them as separate, contained poems, because that's the tradition, isn't it? I mean, we're all conditioned by what's gone before us, what exists already. So I suppose he was so connected with the poetic tradition of short poems. You either basically get a short poem, or you get an epic poem. But the epic poem is like on one theme. It develops it. In fact, the longest poem in the English language is about King Alfred, and it's 131,000, which I'm competing with. But it's one story of King Alfred. And I think if you look at other epic poems like Morte d'Arthur by Tennyson, again, you've got the story of King Arthur and his knights, and it's one theme all the way through. When I read Bukowski's poems, there was a sort of theme running through, which is his self as the centre of all these. And there wasn't one might say there wasn't a huge amount of variation. Because if you're talking to somebody, I mean, just talk to your father, we might talk about different things. We might talk about the government this time. We might talk about, Thailand and stuff. But when he speaks, there's not a huge amount of variation. He's not going to suddenly start screaming, or for no reason thumping his fist on the table, or coming out with an extraordinary remark like, actually, it's a pity Hitler isn't running the country. Your father would never say that. His emanations, his communications have very definite, have definitions about certain things. We know I feel very safe with your father. I don't think he's going to suddenly do anything stupid or attack me. His whole composition of him as a being, you know what that is. And it's a bit like that with Bukowski, except of course he's a more extreme person in many ways. But there is this consistency of this is Bukowski talking all the time. Now some people might write a poem and it's not them talking. They might write it as if it's something else talking. There'll be a bit of them in there, but they're trying to get away from themselves. They might imagine a situation. I mean, Ted Hughes has written about, say, soldiers attacking, going over the top in World War I, because his father did maybe, but he didn't. But he's writing it from their point of view. Bukowski doesn't do that. He writes from his point of view. So there's a thread running through.
Yeah, he's the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, that changes a bit, because the one point is living in a shed with no water or heat or anything, and then towards the end he's very successful and he's got a swimming pool and a new car and stuff. But it's still very much Bukowski with different environments, so it's continuing. So that's what gave me the idea of, instead of writing lots of individual poems, I'd kind of essentially write a very long poem. Now the difference is, my individual poems were much more varied. They weren't necessarily about me. Sometimes they were objective observations on philosophy or something. They weren't about me. So there was another model that came into the picture of doing this, which is basically T.S. Eliot and the Wasteland, because he has separate sections in the Wasteland that have no apparent connection, which causes literary people endless problems for some reason. I don't see any problem with it at all. It's just like, I saw this here, I saw this there, I saw this there. So one minute there's this kind of, basically I suppose, you know, upper class couple, upper middle class or upper class, they're neurotic. They're saying, oh, the car's coming along at 4 and should we play a game of chess, and there's this is Rat's Alley where the dead men lost their bones, and there's all kind of whole neurotic little wealthy parlour talk going on. And then the next minute he's talking about a working class group in a pub, and the women are talking about the husbands coming back from war, saying, you know, want a bit of fun, you know, you better get yourself some new teeth, Lil, you know, otherwise he'll be looking out somewhere else, you know. And then the barman's going, hurry up please, it's time, hurry up please, it's time. And then another part of the poem, he's talking about Elizabeth and Leicester, Queen Elizabeth I and the Earl of Leicester, in a boat on the River Thames. And he doesn't say why he's put that in there. And then he might be talking about, oh, he does a sort of pastiche of Shakespeare. I think it's Evangeline and Cleopatra, the throne she sat on, like a burnished whatever. And he just says the chair she sat on, like a burnished. So you know it's referring to this Shakespeare thing, but I suppose he is downgrading everything. Instead of the grandeur of the great tradition, he's saying, well, we now live in a place where the loitering heirs of city directors, you know, they have their fun on the banks of the Thames with the girls, and they leave all their debris behind, implying to my mind things like condoms, that that's not actually said, maybe that's just my mind, but littering, you know, they're good time people, they're wealthy, they've got leisure, but it's the corruption and demise of what he sees as being high culture. And again, he puts in from Edmund Spenser, there's a famous line, sweet Thames runs softly till I end my song. And he inserts that kind of ironically, because it's not talking about a sweet Thames at all. So, okay, to sum it up, what he's done is a number of different angles, a number of different vignettes, scenarios, which is put one after the other without actually telling you why he's put them there.
And people don't see any thread at all in that, and it...
Well, they seem to think this is a difficult poem.
Right.
Which to me it's quite obvious that he's just putting down the things that are banging into his brain.
Yeah.
And then he says, on Margate Sands I can connect nothing with nothing, which he wrote at Margate. And I suppose that's the kind of underlying... Oh, damn it all. Greg.